The Big Three Miami Heat, when they were together, were one of the most unstoppable teams in the modern era. They were led by LeBron James, Dwyane Wade, and Chris Bosh, and they seemed like a team that would win multiple championships. But in all honesty, and this may sound ridiculous, but this dynasty, all its accolades, all the iconic moments, all of the glory could have been non-existent because this experiment should not have worked. Let's go back to July 7th, 2010, when Dwyane Wade decided to resign with the Heat and Chris Bosh announced that he was signing with the team. Then the whole world would be shocked when the following day LeBron James made the decision on live television to sign with the Miami Heat and lead the Cleveland Cavaliers. This move shocked the NBA, and the Heat went from being liked to now being hated and villainized, especially LeBron, who was hated for leaving the Cavs to join what was deemed as a super team. They had a welcoming party, and it seemed like the Heat were ready and destined to win the championship in the next season. Even LeBron was talking about how they would win as many as 7 titles.
Not 2, not 3, not 4. Not 5, not 6, not 7.
The 2010-11 season, while they did not win 60 or more games, they still played amazing and they looked like a well-oiled machine. LeBron James looked like he was becoming the best player in the world. Dwyane Wade was still playing like a top 3 shooting guard in the NBA, and Chris Bosh, while being the third option, was still putting up great numbers as well. The Heat were ready to win a championship and make a statement to the world that they were for real. So they would advance to the NBA Finals and they would face off against the Dallas Mavericks, and the Heat were ready and they were hyped to bring a championship back to South Beach. It seemed like the Heat had the series wrapped as they were up 2-1 in the series, but then the Dallas Mavericks, especially Dirk, found a way and they would come back and beat the Heat in 6 games. The world was stunned as it seemed like the Miami Heat were untouchable, but the Mavs made them look human, especially LeBron, who in the last 4 games of the series was a shell of himself, and it was not a good look for him after everything he said before the season even started. Fans all over the world were rejoicing in the Heat's failure.
He wasn't even LeBron James. He was Alfred James. And I wanted another commercial where LeBron says, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there with the clutch gene, because he doesn't have any clutch gene.
There's something about LeBron James that's really starting to alarm me. It's like he wants to be crowned with no rings. And then to come out here with the smile on your face like that, the world is just beautiful. I don't understand it. Champions don't do that.
But with that came triumph. The 2012 season was a lockout year, and the Heat were ready to redeem themselves and prove they can win and be the best team in the league. LeBron especially had a lot to prove, considering he has not won a championship at this point in time, and people were starting to question his ability to being the best player in the league. Dwyane Wade decided to take a step back and let LeBron take the reins as the best player on the team, and LeBron did not disappoint as he would win the MVP that year, and he was having a dominant season and the Heat were out for blood. So came the playoffs, and the Heat once again had no problem in the first round as they were matched up against the New York Knicks and they would beat them in 5 games. The next round, the Heat would be given trouble by the Pacers with a well-rounded group of guys, but they would beat the Pacers in 6 games. Then the Heat would have a rematch against the Boston Celtics, LeBron's rival team, and the Celtics and the Heat would trade games. The Heat would go up 2-0, and then the Celtics would tie the series with 2 apiece. The Celtics were withstanding the Heat, and it seemed like the series could go either way. Then in Game 5, the Celtics would win off a go-ahead 3 from Paul Pierce, and the Celtics were up 3-2, and the hate for the Heat was rampant. It seemed like the Heat would fail once again, and that they were just pretenders and not serious enough for a title.
If they don't get it done this year, it's time to break them up.
Detonate.
I believe that Pat Riley should pick up the phone and he should call Mr. Jim Buss, and he should sit there and say that I'm willing to offer you Chris Bosh and Dwyane Wade for Kobe.
But then something crazy happened. Game 6 happened, and that was the moment when LeBron would go into ultra instinct mode. He would proceed to just dog the Celtics. He was scoring on all cylinders, and he was unstoppable against them. No one on the Celtics had an answer for LeBron. Not even Doc Rivers can make a coaching scheme to stop him. He was not playing around. He knew what was going to happen if the Heat lost in 6 games, and he responded with 45 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 assists on 73% from the field. Then heading into Game 7, it seemed like the Celtics might win as they were up 7 at the half. But then heading into the second half of the game, LeBron and D-Wade would combine for 31 points, and the Heat would beat the Celtics and advance to the NBA Finals. They would face the young and talented Oklahoma City Thunder, and while they were great throughout the playoffs, they were not ready for a title. The Heat would manage to beat the Thunder in 5 games, and LeBron, Wade, and Bosh would get their first ring together and redeem themselves, especially after 2011, as LeBron would win his first Finals MVP. The Heat were very close to another disappointment, but they managed to pull through and win. But the only thing left to ask was, can they do it again? The 2012-13 season came and the Heat were looking to go back-to-back, and they were looking unstoppable, especially in February and towards the end of the season, where the Heat would finish with a 37-2 record, and they would also go on a 27-game winning streak during that time. The Heat would win 62 games, and LeBron would statistically have one of, if not the best season of his whole career. He was great on both ends of the court, and he would win MVP almost unanimously, and also he could have won Defensive Player of the Year as well. The playoffs began, and the Heat would sweep the Bucks in the first round and then beat the Roseless Bulls in 5 games. Then the conference finals came, and they would be matched up once again against the Indiana Pacers, and they looked better, especially because they had an up-and-coming star in Paul George. This series was very entertaining and close. The Heat and Pacers were both trading blows, and it was a marvel to watch these two teams go at it, and this series would go to 7, but the Heat would prevail and beat the Pacers in convincing fashion. The Miami Heat advanced to the NBA Finals, where they would face the San Antonio Spurs, a well-rounded and coached team. As the Heat were giving the Spurs issues, the Spurs proved while they were old, they could still play. They were a great defensive team and had firepower offensively. The Spurs would manage to go up 3-2, and before Game 6 even happened, the Big Three once again looked human. LeBron in the first 5 games was met with great defense, and he was averaging only 21 points on 44% shooting. Dwyane Wade was starting to come down to earth, and Bosh, while he was solid as the third option, his numbers was also going down as well. But Game 6 was either going to make or break this team, and the Heat were not backing down from the Spurs. While D. Wade and Bosh were not shooting the best, LeBron James and Mario Chalmers were helping to keep them at bay against the Spurs. Then in the fourth quarter, the Spurs looked like they were ready to run away, but then LeBron went on a scoring run that kept them close, but the Spurs were still up, and it seemed like they were going to win the whole thing. They even had the yellow ropes around. Usually when that happens, that is when they are about to get the gear and everything ready to present the trophy. The fans were leaving. It looked like it was over yet again. It seemed like the Heat were again faced with failure, and everyone was ready to hate on the Heat for only winning 1 ring in 3 years. The Heat probably would have broken up after this, and the super team experiment would have failed. But then this happens. Manu Ginobili would miss a crucial free throw that would give the Heat a chance to come back. LeBron would hit a 3 to make it a 2-point lead, and the Spurs yet again had free throws, and Kawhi would go 1 for 2 at the line. Then the following sequence would become one of the greatest sequences in NBA history.
James catches, puts up a 3, won't go, rebound Bosh, back out to Allen, his three-pointer, bang! Tie game with 5 seconds remaining!
Ray Allen would tie the game off of a miraculous 3 that would have sent it to overtime, and the Heat would win Game 6, and then they would win Game 7, defeating the Spurs in a close game. Now, after going back-to-back, it only seemed right that they would go for a 3-peat, right? Let's fast forward to the playoffs, as the Heat would have a great regular season, and they were looking to get their 3rd ring in 4 years. And this was the beginning of the end. The Spurs in 2014 were playing absolutely amazing, and they were looking for their revenge, and they got it in the finals. The Spurs would destroy the Heat in a 5-game series. LeBron was great and Bosh was solid in that series, but it was not enough because Dwyane Wade was starting to show his age, and he did not have a good series, and people were saying he was washed in the NBA Finals. Following the 2014 Finals, it was the beginning of the end for the Big Three Heat. LeBron was set to go back home to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Dwyane Wade and Chris Bosh decided to stay on the Heat. If you look back on this team, we would definitely say that they were winners and they achieved a lot of success. Now, should they have won 1 or 2 championships? Yes. But the fact of the matter is this: there were times when this team looked like it was on the verge of failure. It seemed like this team should not have succeeded, but against all odds, and due to the determination and the tenacity of the Big Three, they were able to succeed. Thank you guys for watching this video. For the new viewers, leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you want to watch more content like this one. Also, make sure to comment down below what you thought about the video and what was your favorite moment from the Big Three era. Don't forget to click the bell to be notified. New videos are on the way. Until then, I will see y'all next time. NBA Nerd out.